So one of the main things that I do on my channel or in my comment section or on my Discord channel is pretty much just recommending things to people. It's one of my pastimes. It's one of my hobbies. I just like researching computer components and recommending things to people if they're in the need for it. But I've noticed that in the history of this channel or my history of helping people out on Discord, I've never really recommended an Alienware gaming PC. I thought that was kind of funny because I was watching the Gamers Nexus videos and they were actually showing objectively how bad the system was that they purchased. And they've purchased other Alienware desktops and they have pretty much the same conclusion about them, is that they're just not good products. I'm like, that kind of makes a lot of sense. From what I've seen from the rest of their desktops, they're not good systems. So yeah, in today's video, I just want to go over for kind of the layman really why they're bad, why you shouldn't buy one, and why you should just go to other places to buy a higher end gaming PC. Because Alienware desktops are just one of the worst systems that you can buy out there on the market. Now, before we do get into it, I just want to say that I'm not going to be referring to their laptops or their mice or, you know, their monitors or headphones or whatever else that they sell with the Alienware brand on it. It's just going to be their desktop PCs. Their laptops are actually fairly good. They have some pretty decent engineering, some pretty decent cooling. There's some premium features on them that I think some people might enjoy. All right, so first off, let's just talk about the company a little bit. Alienware is not its own thing. It was its own thing back in 1996 when it was founded and all the way up to like the early 2000s when it was purchased by Dell. Once Dell bought it, it became pretty much just a brand of their high-end gaming PCs. Now again, you can technically look at Alienware as a separate entity because they do technically have their own sets of employees, I guess their own splash page on the Dell website, but again, it's on the Dell website. You use Dell support for all this stuff, and if you want to buy one, you're buying it through Dell. So just for the sake of simplicity, Alienware is Dell, Dell is Alienware. They're one of the same thing, and Dell just sells Alienware's products as their own. And for this reason, Alienware sells some of the more, I guess, unique systems out there on the market. Because Dell is an OEM or original equipment manufacturer, they make a lot of their own custom parts. So it's just a level of vertical integration that allows you to pretty much just control all of the parts that are going into your system. So they're going to make their own proprietary motherboards, proprietary power supply, proprietary cooling techniques, and proprietary cases. And pretty much what this means is that they're going to try to maximize the profitability of these systems so that they have to put the bare minimum amount of resources into the components in order to get the, I guess, level of performance that they want out of these systems. Now that level of performance is not great. If you guys watched that video from Gamers Nexus, the 12900K in that system was just absolutely demolished by the cooling system in there. It is so bad, it was just thermal throttling the entire time and was performing like a i7 instead of the i9 that the part actually was. And that's just kind of one example of how this OEM thing hurts a lot of PCs. There's also that whole thing with the custom motherboard form factor and the proprietary power supply. So if you do want to get a higher wattage power supply and throw it in the system, maybe you want to upgrade your components in these things, that's not going to happen. There's no power supply that is going to have the connectors needed in order to plug into the system other than another Alienware desktop power supply. Because again, if something breaks out of warranty, or if you do want to end up repairing it, you have to go to Dell. You can't just get an aftermarket part and throw it in your system, which, believe it or not, is pretty much standard on most other systems. So traditionally with OEM proprietary gear, your cooling is going to be terrible, your performance is going to be bad, as you know, just a translation of your cooling and just having bad, you know, VRMs and stuff like that on your motherboards, and having a proprietary power supply in usually pretty trash cases. That's just kind of been a standard with OEMs. So that's kind of been a thing with Acer, HP, and Dell when you kind of buy their systems. And a lot of you guys are probably thinking, well, why do these systems sell at all? Well, actually, a lot of times they will transition over the money that they're saving from, you know, making all this proprietary stuff over the customer so they can sell a product for, you know, a lot cheaper than what other people are able to sell stuff for. So things like the HP Pavilion is, you know, sometimes a decent starter gaming PC to get into, as long as you're not looking to make upgrades, which a lot of people aren't. If you're buying a $600 system, you usually just kind of keep it for 3 years and then you'll end up getting something else. But that's another funny thing about Alienware. They also do pricing completely wrong. I mean, you'd think that if they're able to manufacture their own cases, power supplies, motherboards, and cooling solutions for their systems, you would think that when they do cut costs on all those components, that they're able to kind of translate that into their sale price and to kind of help make that product a little bit more enticing, but they don't. All these systems are still crazy expensive. Like if we take a look at the Alienware Aurora Ryzen Edition R14, it's going for $3,200, which for reference is a terrible price for the specs of this system. Even if the system had one of the best motherboards on the market, it had an insane ATX power supply that you could use to upgrade stuff. It had absolutely mammoth level cooling where you had a 240 or 360 millimeter radiator. Like, this system is still overpriced compared to those systems. Like, if we take a look over here at Micro Center, and I know this is an edge case, but just to show you how big the difference is in between pricing for a company that's able to get pretty much the exact same specs and sell a system and still make a profit, this is pretty much a $1,000 difference between these two. And this system is going to have a lot better cooling. It's going to allow you to upgrade it. It's going to allow you to change out parts if they end up breaking. And if you just want to completely redo the system, if you want to take out the motherboard, put something else in, you don't have to get rid of the case. The case is, again, non-proprietary. And this is the thing with pretty much all their PCs. You can pretty much find another gaming PC on the internet with better specs, better cooling for a much lower price. It's just so dumb to me why people would even consider buying one of these desktops when everything else out there is just so much better. Even OEMs like HP understand that when you're selling a gaming PC, especially a high-end one, they have to do a couple things different. HP actually does a fairly decent job with their Omen lineup by making sure that their motherboards aren't proprietary form factors, that their power supplies aren't proprietary form factors, their cooling is actually fairly good, and that they're able to kind of make it also have that gamery aesthetic to it. Like, even though this thing is a little bit more money than this one, it's still coming in with a better graphics card and a way better cooling solution. Like, this CPU should stay nice and cool, and you should be able to overclock it fairly well. Whereas I'd be surprised if the CPU in this Alienware Aurora is able to actually hit the rated clock speeds that this CPU should be able to hit. So we've established that the pricing of these systems is terrible, that the performance level on these things is terrible, that the cooling is terrible, and that the upgradability and repairability of this system is terrible. So that leaves one thing left, and that's the warranty and support service, and it's from Dell. So I don't really feel like we need to go over how bad Dell's product support is. It's just bad. It's one of the worst in the industry. Like, if you said, like, Dell set the standard at the bottom of the totem pole. Like, it is not hard to be better than Dell at product support. So pretty much all of the Alienware high-end desktop PCs are garbage. They're hot garbage, and I would not recommend them to any person who is looking to get any sort of computer. I'm sure Gamers Nexus, Linus Tech Tips, and whoever else has ever reviewed one of these systems will tell you that these are one of the worst things to buy on the market from pretty much every view of this gaming PC. So yeah, hopefully you guys never have the unfortunate experience of owning one of these systems. I highly suggest you never buy one of these unless they completely redo the way that they make their systems and sell them. So yeah, I'm gonna highly suggest you guys go out there, bully Alienware, tell them that your systems are trash, you should make better ones, and then we might buy it. Because as of right now, they're still garbage. They've been garbage for years, and I would not wish the ownership of one of these systems on my worst enemy. So that's going to be the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, do not buy one of these systems, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.